In this video, we're going to discuss white adipose tissue and brown adipose tissue, and discuss whether exercise can induce brown adipose tissue. White fat or white adipose tissue stores your energy in large fat droplets that accumulate around your body. The accumulation of fat helps keep you warm by providing insulation for your organs. In humans, too much white fat leads to obesity. Obesity is a major contributing factor to metabolic dysfunction involving lipid and glucose. But on a broader scale, it influences organ dysfunction involving cardiac, liver, intestinal, pulmonary, endocrine, and reproductive organs. Scientists have identified another different kind of fat, which is called brown fat. Until several years ago, it was thought that only babies had brown fat, and the babies used brown fat to keep them warm. They also thought this fat disappeared by the time most people reached their adulthood. What is brown fat? Brown fat exists within white fat and skeletal muscle tissue. In each brown fat is packed with mitochondria, which is the energy house in the cells. When brown fat is activated, they burn heat without ATP production. This process is called thermogenesis. During thermogenesis, brown fat burns calories. Scientists also performed a study on 24-year-old adult male. They found that lean man tends to have more active brown fat than obese man. Scientists also discovered that exposing a healthy adult to cool or even cold temperatures, for example around 19 degrees for about 2 hours, they detect increased brown fat activity. PET scan also show deposit of brown fat can actually rapidly burn glucose to produce heat when activated by the cold temperature. Then how can we get brown fat? Everyone has some constitutive brown fat, which is the fat that you're born with. However, white fat can change to brown fat under certain circumstances. We call this process a browning of white fat. This recruitable type of fat is found in muscles and white fat throughout your body. Scientists are still trying to understand the genes that control how white fat and brown fat development. Can certain drug cause browning of white fat? Yes, there are certain drugs that can cause the browning of white fat. My research lab and other lab also discovered that liraglutide, a drug used to maintain the glucose level or used to manage insulin resistance, can help with brown fat accumulation in animals. A review on various studies also shown that brown fat burns calories and may help control blood sugar and improve insulin levels, therefore decreasing the risk for type 2 diabetes. It may also help with removing fat from the blood, decreasing the risk of hyperlipidemia. It's important to note until recently most studies on brown fat have been done in animals. particular in mice. More research is still needed on humans. Can exercise induce brown fat? Exercise training results in beneficial adaptations to new birth tissues and offers protection against metabolic disorders, including obesity and type 2 diabetes. Studies from both animals and humans have identified exercise-induced changes in wet adult tissue, including increased mitochondrial activity and glucose uptake, and an altered endocrine profile in animals. A beige or a browning of wet adult tissue was also discovered in animals after exercise. Therefore, exercise is highly recommended to fight obesity and keep cardiovascular system running strong. Current physical activity for adults includes doing one of the following every week. That means 150 minutes of moderate activity such as walking or playing tennis, and 75 minutes of vigorous activity such as jogging or swimming per week. In conclusion, brown fat is a good fat and it can activate brown fat. And activation of brown fat can prevent obesity or diabetes. Certain drugs, such as liraglutide, can induce brown fat. Exercise induces brown fat development. Therefore, it is highly recommended for adults to follow the current physical activity guideline to maintain a healthy weight.